Hey everyone, I'm Kevin. Welcome back to KDX Bricks Analytics. We are going to analyze 25 more sets from our 6-month cumulative table and put them on another tier list. Same 5 categories as last video. Home run, obviously, I'm thinking for me, it's going to be a great investment. Really good is the second tier. Middle tier, high risk, high reward. So, question there, some potential. 4th tier, pretty unlikely. So I put it maybe, probably not. And then 5th tier is a reference to the Exploding Kittens card game. It's the nope tier. I've assigned a number to each set on this list, numbers 1 through 178. We will use a random number generator to figure out which sets we're going to talk about in this video. First number up is 24, and if we scroll up, it looks like 24 has already been discussed in a previous tier list video. Anytime that happens, we are going to scroll up to the next available set, and that's all the way up to number 2, which is the Commander Cody helmet. A fantastic 33 mentions, an enthusiasm score of 2.6. This is a very good helmet. I like the color to stand out in the helmet line with the orange accents. The visor looks pretty good. With over 7,500 brick set members owning it, I think the demand is going to be there. Under a 2-year shelf life is solid, and a 4.3 on Brickset is really solid. We know by now that basically all of the helmets have grown in value, even some of the odd looking ones like the Dark Trooper helmet that retired at the end of last year. $70 was the retail price, up to $78. On Brickset, the new value is typically a good representation after you pay taxes and fees. So good to see this one already climbing. But remember, most people invested in this helmet at around $42 to $56. With that buy-in price, we're seeing very good ROI only 6 months into retirement. So for this set and the rest of the helmets that haven't retired yet, I don't think popularity is the question. I think the only potential concern is that the rumors have been out there that the helmet line is coming to an end. And so with less helmets on the shelves, would people not be reminded to go back and get these? And with it coming to an end, would people that want these already be getting them? Obviously, there are going to be new Star Wars helmet collectors coming into the secondary market, growing into the secondary market over the coming years. But because of the end of the helmet line rumors, some people were going to be pretty careful about investing in these last few helmets and waiting for really good discounts. I actually picked up, I think, almost 20 of these because Target had them for $38. They were already 20% off of the retail price, and they did another 30% off of that. So at that price, I felt great about it. But there's new recent news, and this could be a game changer. The rumors are that the helmet line is actually not finished and more helmets are coming as early as next year. If that's the case, then my excitement for this helmet increases significantly. So on our tier list, I'm putting it right at the home run level. Second set to look at on our cumulative table is number 95, and that is one we have not hit in the past, and this is the Family Reunion Celebration. It has 3 mentions with an E-score of 2. This is a really nice set, aesthetically really well done, great color choices, obviously fantastic design with all the details in there. 13 minifigures. I know that the minifigure elements are pretty standard to city sets, but all 13 of them are unique. I don't know which elements are unique, if it's just combinations. Actually, you know what? Let's look at that real quick. If we go to parts and then parts in the database and then view inventory as a table, then we can click this button right here and see elements and sets. And then mostly I like to look at torsos. Obviously, there are some occasional headpiece or helmet type pieces and maybe some legs that would be of interest, but mostly what really makes a minifigure unique and stand out and of interest is a unique torso. And so go down the list, we've got 1, 2 in this set, only in this set, another one, and then the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th, and that adds up to 7 of the minifigures. So it looks like 7 of the 13 have torsos with new prints, so that's kind of cool. Typical 1-year shelf life for these seasonal sets. 4.3 on Brickset is very solid. Over 2,000 members own it. I think that's pretty good for a seasonal set. And then only $130 for the 1,800 pieces. That seems like a steal. Even though most seasonal sets don't do well in retirement, I think this one has a pretty good shot. I think it'd be a great piece to add to city builds and layouts. So I'm going to put this in the high risk, high reward tier, and I'll probably leave it towards the top of this 3rd tier level. Third set is number 31, and that is the the Atari 2600. 12 mentions, that's pretty good, but a low 1.3 enthusiasm score. I hate to see that. I spoke pretty highly of this set much earlier in the year, and just video after video, I have cooled more and more because the data isn't there in terms of supply and demand. But it's still a really good looking set, but the nail in the coffin for me is that it has been discounted 20% off and sometimes 40% off on lego.com for a really long time. So clearly it isn't selling well. I hate to do it. I wish the data was much better on it. It just seems like one that would be a lot more popular, even though very few people alive today have ever played the Atari. So I have to put it in the maybe, but probably not tier. Fourth set is number 42, and we will go to number 40. This is Legolas and Gimli, the newest Lord of the Rings Brickhead set. 9 mentions and a top max score of 3.0 on the enthusiasm scale. Please note, e-scores only range from 0 to 3. The Lego in parentheses means that according to all the news and data, it is a Lego store and Lego Online exclusive. The vast majority of Brickheads are exclusive to Lego. And then I'll point out the R in parentheses in front of the set number means that according to Brick Fanatics, it is expected to retire at the end of this year. Of course, that can always change. Brickheads have a great history of performing well. The previous Lord of the Rings sets, I think from over a decade ago, are doing awesome. I know that's a large time gap, but I think the demand for Lord of the Rings sets is still very, very high. Lego has produced a couple of very large and expensive sets. Clearly, they believe that it's worth their time and effort and that they're going to sell really well. As far as I can tell, they are selling well. The Barad-dûr Tower sold out opening day pretty quickly. It had a decent GWP to go with it. Don't forget the 7-month shelf life on these two fantastic Brickheads. Standard $20 price point, and almost 1,000 people already own it when it came out just over a month ago. I won't bore you with all the Brickheads history. We know most of them perform very, very well, and so this is an easy top of the tier set for me, but kind of an interesting question here. Do I put it above the helmet or below the helmet? And oh, that's a tough call. I'd love to put them on the exact same level, but I'm actually going to put it below the helmet because of the recent news that the helmet line is going to live on. Next random number is 132, much lower on the table, so that brings us to the Holiday Ski Slope and Cafe. Only one mention with an enthusiasm score of 2. This is a really nice little friend set. Some friend sets do quite well, so I don't recommend ignoring this theme completely, but I think most of them are not worth investing in. This is one I would completely skip over unless I saw it on one of those crazy clearances at Walmart. So on the tier list, I'll put it in the maybe, but probably not. Sixth set to analyze is way at the bottom, the 170 spot. Oh, this is the large Hulkbuster. And I want to point out it has 20 mentions, but it's the first set with an enthusiasm score of 0. Position 170 and below on our table are sets that investors are recommending against investing in, all the YouTube videos that I watch. And this set is by far the leader, and then the Hoopty is a relatively close second with 10 mentions against investing. The build isn't awful, even though the chest and torso area is pretty far off, but overall it still looks pretty cool. But it's a $550 set for 4,000 pieces and one minifigure that honestly isn't that special. It's been out since late 22 and only 1,300 members own it. The demand is very low and Lego has had it on high discount for a very long time. Unless I was partying it out, I am totally steering clear, so this goes into the nope category. Our next roll of the dice is 99, and that is going to bring us to Deep Sea Creatures. It's a Creator 3-in-1 with 3 mentions and an E-score of 1.7. Really good $15 set with 230 pieces, 4.3 on brick set. Almost 12,000 people own it. Only 900 more want it. That's kind of concerning, but 12,000 people own it. I like the shark build. Of course, the crab is awesome. I did do a quick search to see if there were any other realistic shark builds, and I didn't find any other than like a couple of promotional sets. Even though most Creator 3-in-1s don't grow on the secondary market, some of the animal related sets do have pretty good history. The fish tank is doing well. The crocodile is doing well. And again, with almost 12,000 people on Brickset owning it, I think there is some potential with this one. So I'm going to put it in the really good category, but I think it'll fall towards the bottom of the really good category. And maybe that's slightly ambitious. I think in the past, I haven't been overly positive on this set, but more recently, there's been more data to show that there's going to be solid demand. Now on to set 149, and there's a block in here that we've talked about in the past. So let's go to Hogwarts Express Collector's Edition. edition. One mention, E-score of 2. Very similar comments on this set as the large Hulkbuster because this one's $500. At least the price to part ratio is much better with over 5,000 pieces. I know price to part ratio isn't everything, it's just one indicator, but I think there's some value in that sometimes. 4.3 on Brickset is pretty solid. For an expensive set, almost 3,500 people owning it and another 3,100 wanting it, there's a little bit of demand there, especially that want to own ratio is really good. Obviously, I have concerns with that huge price tag, but also I have concerns that there are just so many Hogwarts Express that have been produced at this point. Obviously, the rest of them are in the play scale that fit on standard Lego track gauge, but you know, there's been 5, 6, 7, 7 or 8 large scale Hogwarts Express trains. Obviously, the old ones are doing awesome, but the new ones, it's just saturated at this point. And so the big question is, how much demand will there be for such a huge set that you can't play with, doesn't even fit on standard gauge track, and also takes up a lot of space? I'm not investing in it, but there's some popularity, so I'm going to put it in the maybe but probably not tier, but I would absolutely need it on a really, really good discount. Back to our random number generator, 96 on the table. We've talked about that, so we're going to go to the carousel ride. 3 mentions, E-score of 2. Very few people even know this set exists, but I think it's a nice little build and a fun little set. 10-year shelf life, $25. That seems spendy. This should be a $20 set. I think there's actually a little bit of a potential runway because amusement park and ride sets overall have done well in the past, especially the large fairground collections. But people like smaller builds. That fairgrounds mixer, I forget the exact name, but it had all the rides that you could put onto the, pack away and put onto the trailer of the truck. That was a really good set. That one's doing decent. So I'm going to put this one in the high risk, high reward question mark category. 10th set in this video to look at is 171. This is going to be another one with mentions against it. Nope, we've already talked about it, so we got to go to the last set that has mentions for it. This is an Avatar set other than that Tree of something. I keep wanting to say Tree of Life, but I know that's not it. Avatar set, I think the rest of them are duds unless you find them at 70 or 80% off at Walmart, which has happened from time to time. There's basically no buzz around these. Yes, when the Avatar movies come out, it seems like it's high buzz, but it's just a flash in the pan. I know another 1 or 2 are coming, but I don't think that buzz around the movie is translating into licensed toys or licensed products. So this one's easy for me. It's going in the nope category, but I will put it above the Hulkbuster. Of course, it doesn't really matter the order once you fall into the nope category. I am skipping them all. Let's look at the 175th set on our table, and now we're getting into another one with mentions against. This is Icons of Play. 3 mentions against, E-score of 0. This looks pretty rough for $100. I mean, really, really rough. A whopping 376 people on Brickset own it. Remember, we've looked at sets that have had 15 to 20,000 members owning it. The demand is nil on this set. I won't waste your time. Bottom of the nope tier. All right, let's see if we can get a good set. 131, probably not great. That's going to bring us to the Dream Village. I actually think this one is a sleeper. 1 mention, E-score of 2. It's the only Lego exclusive set from Dreamzzz. I think it's the only retail exclusive set from the Dreamzzz line. This is a well done set with a lot going on for $30, 434 pieces, 1 actual minifigure, and then 3 of these little guys. Only a 3.9 on Brickset. I feel like that should be higher. I think some of the Dreamzzz sets are really well done. Lego's putting a lot of effort into them. My understanding is the cartoon isn't doing very well, but I think Lego's planning on season 2 and season 3. Maybe they'll be able to pivot and pick it up, and the original sets from this series might do well. I think there'll be a longer hold time. I actually had this set in my first Power Rankings video, but I took it out in my second Power Rankings video. I had it in my first because it was going for $45 on eBay a few months ago, but when I checked the data for my second Power Rankings video, that number had dropped to the high 30s, and so I was saying, all right, well, maybe the market's getting a little saturated, or maybe the demand's dying off. Because it's Lego and it's in the first wave of a new theme, and it's a really well-designed set, I'm going to take a flyer here and I'm going to put it towards the bottom of the really good tier. That was a fun one to talk about. Now let's go to 132, and that brings us to the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. It's a Technic set, only 1 mention. That makes sense, but oddly enough, it has an enthusiasm score of 3. That seems pretty high for a small Technic set, but not a large sample size. My kids and I both really like these Technic sports cars and race cars. $50 really isn't a bad price, but at retail, I don't think there's any room to grow. The only reason I watched these closely is because last year, the 3 that retired, Jeep, I gotta look behind me, the Formula E, which wasn't a very good one, and then I think the Senna was all went to 50% off, and they were readily available for a week or so at that price point. And I think at 50% off, then there is some real potential. But since that kind of discount isn't guaranteed, I gotta hedge and be careful, so I'm gonna put it in the maybe, but probably not tier. Next roll of the dice is number 3. We're going to the top of the list, and I knew 2 and 3 we talked about in the last video, so we're taking the top set, which is the Princess Leia Boosh helmet. It's a Target exclusive, 44 mentions, E-score of 2.7. These metrics are awesome. Everybody's excited about this set, which might be a problem. If everybody's doing it, then you gotta watch out. I'm still super excited about it. I want to get them. I don't have any. No, maybe I have one, but I am waiting to see if it goes to the 42 to 48 price point like last year's Dark Trooper Target exclusive helmet did. I'm not worried about it being super ugly, partly because it is very accurate to the source material, and also because last year's very ugly Dark Trooper 6 months into retirement is already up in value like we talked about. This is an easy one for me to rank. It's got to go in the home run tier, and because it's a Target exclusive, it has to go above Cody. Quick look at the ranked sets so far. We've got 14 on this tier list, and I'm going to do 25 total in this video. Next one up is in the 169 slot. We're going from end to end, good to bad, good to bad. We already talked about this one, so we're going to go to another Avatar set. I have the exact same comments on this one as I did the other Avatar set, other than this is $35 for 259 pieces. Even at 60% off, I don't think it has a chance. This one you got to wait for like 80% off. So obviously in the nope category, and I'm even going to throw it below the Hulkbuster. 16th set is number 30, and that is the Darth Vader mech. 12 mentions, E-score of 1.8. You guys know every video I become more and more positive on the Star Wars mechs. Less than a year and a half shelf life is fantastic. It's a new Star Wars sub-theme. Even though when the original pictures got released, they threw us for a loop, the mechs are definitely growing on me, and I think because they're the first wave of a new Star Wars sub-theme, I think there's some real possibility that they will be desirable. People will want to go back and get these original mechs. But of the 4 that are out and the 3 that are retiring at the end of this year, this is my least favorite from an investing perspective, but it's not by much because it's Darth Vader, most popular character in Star Wars lore. So I got to put this set pretty high. I'm going to put it in the top of the really good category. Let's roll the dice again. Set 152. Again, we keep going back and forth on the table. And that one we've talked about in the past. So we got to scroll all the way up to 136. And this is the Captain America construction figure. One mention, E-score of 2. LEGO has tried brick built action figures over and over. And other than the occasional diamond in the rough, they have not had the demand that LEGO is hoping for on the primary market, and therefore they've been awful on the secondary market. And this one is following that exact same story with only 650 brick set members that own it. Definitely very, very low demand. I'm going to put it in the nope category. All right, let's roll a good one here. Number 9. We're actually going to have to go down on the list because everything 26 and above we've already talked about. So this time we'll go the other direction, basically the nearest set, and that is the Ghostbusters ECTO-1, that large iconic vehicle set. 13 mentions, E-score of 1.8. The amount of discussion around this set has actually been pretty decent. It's a 4.4 on Brickset. That's great. Over 12,000 people own it on Brickset. Another 3,600 want it. So there's demand there, but I'm not going to rank it really high because of the long 4+ year shelf life, and that 1.8 enthusiasm score worries me. A lot of people are saying, yeah, the metrics are there, but is the buzz really that good, or is it just buzz? And could it die off pretty quickly once it disappears from the shelves and people potentially could forget about the set? I think this is a quintessential high risk, high reward set. I'll put it in the top of that tier, but it's not one that I'm excited investing in. 19th set to look at is 129, and we're running out of sets on the table, so we're going to go to the Batman construction figure. Exact same story as the Captain America brick built action figure. A few more people own it, and I think this one looks a lot better. Plus, Batman is super cool, still in the nope category, but I'll put him above Captain America, right next to each other. For the 20th set, we're going to go to 109. That's going to bring us to the Hogwarts astronomy tower. 3 mentions, a low E-score of 1 for 3 mentions. That means all 3 mentions were the minimum for investing. Almost don't invest in it. I actually think this one for Harry Potter does stand out and has some unique characteristics to it. I can totally see why over 13,000 people own it. The nice little greenhouse, obviously the way that this large tower and the spires are built with the overhang is pretty good. I have one for personal collection that the kids and I will build someday. But I've got a lot of unopened boxes in line at this point, and we don't have much time to build with all the sports and activities and me making videos and yard work and games and school and job and everything else. So when we do find time to build Lego, it's a lot of fun. Although the metrics aren't terrible, I just can't rank this one high because it's had a 4.5-year shelf life. So I'm putting it in the top of the maybe, but probably not, which means I'm skipping it unless there was a wild discount on it. Next up is the set in the 38 slot, and that is going to bring us, whoa, we got to go down to the Star Wars Spider Tank. I can't believe the crab got 10 mentions. That's not terrible, but a low E-score of 1.6. That would be below 1.0 other than the awesome Bo-Katan minifigure that we'll look at in a second. This is such an awful set. 50 bucks. I know 526 pieces. They're all small. 50 bucks. Doesn't even come with the cool alien creature that operates this crazy looking machine. 3 minifigures, except one of them is Din Djarin that we've had multiple times. Yeah, great with the arm printing. And then the tiny, tiny little Grogu. That shouldn't count as a minifigure. The Bo-Katan minifigure is awesome. Let's actually look at her real quick. There we go. So good. Looks exactly like the actress, which is amazing to do in minifigure form. Only a 3.9. If we look at the value of the minifigures, Bo-Katan is $20, and then you add the other two together, that's another 10, so $30. Subtract out fees and everything, maybe $24 for the minifigures. I'd put basically no value on the spider tank machine thingy, and so it's a total skip for me unless it was $15 somewhere, which is basically not going to happen. It is Star Wars with a great minifigure, so I'll spare the nope category and I'll put it towards the bottom of the maybe, but probably not category. Let's hit the random number generator again, set 79, and that brings us up to Star-Lord's helmet. It's a Target exclusive, 5 mentions, E-score of 1.6. I honestly don't have a good gauge on this set, and I think I have a terrible gauge on this set. I just have no idea. I don't feel good about it. I don't think I want to invest in it, but it's a 4.6 on brick set. It is a Target exclusive, just over a 1.5-year shelf life. Those are some good indicators, but then less than 2,000 people own it. So if I do pick any of these up, it's one that I want to be really careful with. I want to show you Thor's hammer that retired at the end of last year. This was also a superhero Target exclusive, $100 to $125. It was available for $70, I think. So that's fantastic ROI 6 months into retirement. I was shouting positive things about this set left and right, but I just don't see Star-Lord's helmet being in the same category of awesomeness as this Thor's hammer. And then we've got this Captain America shield out there that is retiring at the end of this year that is getting terrible metrics, and people are, for the most part, really wanting to skip this set. So who knows where Star-Lord's helmet goes? I feel like I'm guessing on this one, which honestly, I think that means high risk, high reward. I'll put it somewhere in the middle. Let's look at the 114th place set, and that brings us to the Spider-Man figure. Really funny that this is, I think, my 6th tier list video on this table, and we get all 3 of the superhero brick built figures that are retiring at the end of this year in the same video. 3 mentions for this one too, only an E-score of 1. Obviously, I have nothing to add that I haven't already said about these, but this one does have almost 1,400 members that own it. It's the highest of the 3. So for that, I'll put them right ahead of Batman. Only 2 more sets to go in this video. Let's look at 62. One we haven't hit before, the Icons, I almost said ideas, Chevy Camaro. 6 mentions, a low 1.3. I think that E-score is low if you're willing to have a very long hold time, like 4+ years. Look at this set. The design is so good. 2.5-year shelf life right in the middle, but it's $170 for 1,456 pieces. Very expensive. 4.2 is solid. Over 5,000 people own it. Another 2,200 want it. Not a bad want to own ratio. There's some demand there. LEGO's done a fair number of these larger brick built vehicles. I like most of them. I like cars. I like racing. Scroll through here. There's some good stuff in this list. Some of them are too stylized and definitely won't do well in my opinion, but some of them are really special, really unique. Like this Porsche 911, the creativity in this design is out of this world. But looking at the details, most of these have gone nowhere on the secondary market. And so even though this is just a gorgeous set, I already have one for personal collection. I am a sucker for any realistically designed sports car, race car in Lego or Technic form. So I hate to say it, but I gotta put this one pretty low. I'm gonna go at the bottom of high risk, high reward. And last set to look at in this video is 74, and that brings us to Harry Potter and Cho Chang. Reselling. It's a Brickhead set with 5 mentions and E-score of 2.2. Even though I like a lot of the Brickheads and most of them perform quite well, this set just seems so run-of-the-mill to me. We've had Harry a few times already. How many Harry Brickheads characters can you really have? They all look similar enough, you know who the character is. This is rare for me, but I'm gonna rank a Brickhead set pretty low. I'm actually gonna put it in the bottom of the high risk, high reward tier. All right, those are the final rankings for this video. Take a close look, scrutinize the heck out of my choices and rankings, and then have fun in the comments section. Don't be afraid to throw me some data and thoughts as to where I might have made some mistakes in your eyes, and I'll definitely take that information under consideration when I talk about these sets in future videos. All right, I'm gonna do just one more tier rank video on this table. I think there's 24 sets to talk about, and then I'm done with tier lists for a while. That's a wrap on this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. I do not provide financial advice. You got to get that from somebody else.